Welcome to Hive Mind. This is Edge with my co-host speaker. How are you today, speaker?
I'm good. What's happening?
Doing pretty good. Did you have some noodles before the show?
Yeah, my cappuccino now. I'm all ready.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, I'm doing pretty good. I've been listening to some music that's been lifting my spirits, and that's actually what we're going to talk about today. So, there's a lot of negativity surrounding us, and I thought maybe it'd be a good idea if we talked about energy, vibrations, frequencies, and of course, Tesla. So, there's this famous quote by Tesla, which I'm sure you've heard, and most everybody's heard, and it goes like this: if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. There's a lot to unpack in that statement right there.
A lot.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to be able to unlock all of the mysteries of the universe in this one podcast, but we should just give it a go. What do you think?
Oh, we'll run into it, and we'll tell you a little bit what we have learned and how it can benefit you as well.
Definitely. But first, I want to talk about Tesla.
Yeah, roll in Tesla because I'm very interested. I know a little bit about him, but there's definitely always more to find out about Tesla. He's a fascinating human being, or was a fascinating human being.
He is a very mysterious man and very fascinating. So, yeah, I want to get into a couple key areas of discoveries that Tesla made, and then we'll, towards the end of the podcast, let's roll into some of our own thoughts on this whole concept of energy, vibration, and frequency. Sound good?
Sounds good to me. Roll.
Okay. All right. I think Tesla is one of the most underrated geniuses in human history, don't you think?
Just some, yeah. To others, he's definitely on the top of the list.
Yeah. When Einstein was asked, how does it feel to be the smartest man alive? Do you know what he answered?
I wouldn't know. Ask Nikola Tesla.
That's right. Yep. So
Are you
Tesla's,
surprised that I knew that?
I am actually, I didn't know that. Oh, but people know about Nikola Tesla for his inventions, and he's best known for many inventions like the Tesla coil, alternating current, induction motor, wireless power. Many of these things we still use some form of today. But he didn't really receive a lot of credit in his time for his genius. In fact, it was others like, say, Thomas Edison, for example, who received larger chapters in the history books, so to speak. Funny how that works.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think he was just really underappreciated, but much of Tesla's work was so far ahead of his time. And it was also really disruptive to the power structures that were in place that wanted to control mankind. And
And still is today.
exactly. And especially in some key areas like in energy and in medicine. And that's actually a couple of places where I want to heavily focus on in this part of our podcast on Tesla. Because this research that Tesla did in these two specific areas have been very heavily suppressed, even to this day. And Tesla had made some really massive discoveries. I mean, earth-shaking discoveries, so to speak, in the area of free wireless and limitless energy, as well as using frequency to heal the body. So I want to go into a little bit of those discoveries. And the first I want to start with is the using frequencies, lights, vibrations to heal the body. So using various tools like the Tesla coil and acoustic vibration machines, Tesla used oscillating waves of various frequencies from like low to high that would treat patients for everything from pain to detoxifying organs to killing cancer cells, deactivating viruses. I mean, there were a lot of ways that this technology was being used, and very successfully. In 1898, Tesla wrote a paper, and it was entitled High Frequency Oscillators for Electrotherapeutic and Other Purposes. And he described how it was used and remarked about how the most remarkable feature of this high frequency, using these high frequency currents, was that and that the physicians were mostly intrigued by, was that it was apparently completely harmless, and it made it possible to pass relatively great amounts of electrical energy through the body without causing any pain or serious discomfort. And of course, this successful discovery by Tesla, it prompted a lot of versions of his devices at the time. And here's where we got into trouble, because most of these devices that were mimicking Tesla's inventions were made by charlatans who were claiming and promising to heal people, but these devices weren't actually doing anything. And also during that time, it was, during Rockefeller's rise and Big Pharma's rise, and this whole paradigm of Big Pharma using a pill for every ill, and anything that didn't fit inside that paradigm of, medicines as well as surgery. That was the medical model then, and that they were trying to start. And anything that didn't fit inside of that was being weeded out and suppressed, including this technology and these advancements and innovations using frequencies to heal the body. And another example of that is the story of Royal Rife. Do you remember Royal Rife? I think I've spoken maybe to you about it before on a Dig It podcast when we were doing that modern medicine dig way back, like almost a year ago.
It doesn't pop, but...
Yeah, so Royal Rife kind of followed in Tesla's footsteps, and he in the 1920s he had invented this beam ray machine, and he had like really really powerful magnifying glasses that he could see microbes, he could see pathogens, and he could figure out the frequencies that matched them, every kind of pathogen from bacteria, viruses, cancer even, and he would match that frequency and target it, and he was killing it using this beam ray machine, the same sort of concept as Tesla's. And he tried it so many times in the lab, and it was just success after success that he started working on people, and he treated like many terminally ill patients and with this method, and almost all of them were certified to be medically cured within a matter of months. And so this, just like Tesla's discovery, also same sort of thing, where this frequency instrument treatment, it didn't cause any tissue damage, no pain was felt, no noise was audible, no sensation was noticed, same sort of thing. But this method of treatment was so upsetting to this Rockefeller-controlled pharmaceutical surgery and chemotherapy model of medicine that Rife was also defamed, and his lab was totally torched. And we see this kind of suppression time and time again when these medical innovations come up, don't we?
Either suppression, or they don't announce it as much, as in like one person that I'll get into later in the podcast, which is Masaru Emoto, exactly the same thing. They just, these people's work should be everywhere, but they're not.
Well, you could see it even today with hydroxychloroquine, how that is being totally suppressed. Doctors are being defamed and demoralized and demonized for promoting it and promoting the research behind it, aren't they?
100%.
Yeah, so this kind of therapy using frequencies, same thing, to heal the body. It's being suppressed even today. Even though there's actually some discoveries, it's of its potential. There was a guy, I think in 2013, did a TED Talk, Professor Anthony Holland. He talked about shattering cancer cells with frequencies, with resonant frequencies. And he kind of described it like like an opera singer singing at a certain frequency, a certain pitch, and it shatters the glass. Same sort of concept.
The magic combination. The answer is you have to have two input frequencies, one low, one high, and the higher frequency must be 11 times the lower. It's what we musicians would call the 11th harmonic. And when we add the 11th harmonic, we begin to shatter microorganisms like a crystal glass. These are the first videos taken. We showed these videos to our friends in the biology department. They said they hadn't seen anything quite like it. Seems to be a new phenomenon.
But this isn't new. Tesla was really the originator of this concept, which goes all the way back to the late 1800s. And you can imagine the advancements that would have been made in this field of medicine if these innovations had not been heavily suppressed, right?
Yeah, but they can't be allowed to thrive.
It's mind-boggling to me. I mean, I think about when I read stories like this, of innovations, medical innovations like this that have been suppressed. I think about all of the millions of people who have died. I think about all of the needless suffering. I mean, I had a friend who, she had a long battle with cancer. She had 3 young boys that had to suffer with her in her last days. And, she lost that battle. And her kids are orphaned because of it. And to think that even if there was just a fraction of a possibility that, these kind of innovations could have saved her, it just makes my blood boil.
It does. It's very frustrating. And it's very sad, especially when we've lost loved ones to certain things. And where there has been situations with these techniques, with these measures, that you could at least try. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I don't know anybody who hasn't been touched by cancer. Everybody has a family member, a friend, a loved one, a child who has it, or has had it, or has passed from it, or suffered from it. So it's touched so many lives. It's just absolutely mind-boggling that this kind of technology exists. It's existed for many, many years, and it's been completely suppressed and hidden from the world. And it could have had the potential to save so many, right?
Yeah, but like I said before, these technologies, these techniques cannot be allowed to thrive in this society because it is jeopardizing to the power structure that is in place.
Yeah, there's too much money in the power structure that's in place. Big pharma, everybody's got their hand in it. And it really is all about money and greed. And that's why these technologies have been suppressed. And when I say that Tesla was the originator of this concept, I mean, really not really, because, maybe in modern history, yes, but the ancients apparently knew of these healing qualities of vibrations and frequencies as well. They've discovered archaic Egyptian instruments that were tuned to 432 hertz. And also same thing with ancient Greek instruments. These ancient instruments, I think they believe were used and purposely tuned to 432 hertz because the ancients were aware of the healing properties of that specific frequency. What do you think?
Well, 432 hertz, that was something I was going to get into later, but 432 hertz is the sound that is most aligned with the universe.
Right, and with the human body is from what I understand as well, right? But that's not the only thing that when you compare Tesla to the ancients, and specifically the ancient Egyptians, that's actually not the only comparison that you can draw. Do you remember the podcast that we did a few weeks back on ancient Egypt where I brought up Tesla and we talked about that?
No, don't remember it.
What?
No, of course I remember it.
Well,
Let
for
me think.
anybody who hasn't watched that one, we'll leave a link in the description below, and you can check that out after this one, because these two podcasts do kind of link together. But apparently, Tesla was obsessed with the Great Pyramids. And he believed that the Great Pyramid was much more than a monument or a burial tomb. He believed that it was a giant transmitter of energy. And he believed this so much so that he actually modeled his Tesla Tower, otherwise known as the Wardenclyffe Tower, after the Great Pyramid, somewhere around 1905. And he put out a patent. He filed a patent for this invention called the art of transmitting electrical energy through the natural medium. And it outlined a series of generators in the shapes of pyramids that would be placed in specific spots around the world in specific locations. And they would tap into the ionosphere in order to harness and collect the Earth's energy. And Tesla realized it wasn't just the shape of the pyramids that would allow them to tap into the Earth's energy field. It was also their location. So the Great Pyramids are located at the 30th parallel. And this location has a unique ability to harness the Earth's energy due to the Earth's elliptical orbit. So Tesla modeled the location, not only the design, but the location of his towers to mirror or mimic the Great Pyramids. And another similarity between Tesla's tower and the Great Pyramids is that they both had these underground structures linked to aquifers, which is very important. It's a very important element in transmitting electrical current upwards. And so just like the pyramids have an aquifer underneath them, and then there's shafts that are actually subterranean, and they go all the way up and kind of like a crisscrossing pattern up through the pyramid itself. Just like that, Tesla had, where he built his Tesla Tower, it was built also on an aquifer, and there were shafts that were dug down into the ground. Tesla believed that he'd basically discovered the Earth's limitless energy, just as the ancient Egyptians had. And the idea of free, limitless energy for the entire world was so upsetting to the powers that be that J.P. Morgan, who was one of Tesla's financiers, he's reported to have said, quote, "If we can't put a meter on it, we don't want it." So in other words, it's never been about solving the world's problems. It's never been about making the world a better place. It's always been about power, money, and control of humanity.
But can you imagine where we would be as a society if we had free limitless energy?
I can't even imagine where we would be.
We'd be light years ahead of where we are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That kind of made Tesla an enemy to the powers that be, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, of course.
And that's why Tesla's greatest achievements never really reached their fullest potentials, because they were solving some of the world's greatest problems. And, Tesla believed at the time, when he was alive, he believed he was being spied on. He believed his competitors were spying on him, and I believe they were too. And there was even a fire in his New York laboratory, just like in the case with Royal Rife, and Tesla believed it was arson. So, when Tesla died, he had several boxes. There were several boxes of documents, okay? And I believe Tesla noted that there were actually 80 boxes of documents of his experiments and his discoveries. And when the FBI recorded the boxes of documents that were seized, really only turned out to be 30. So there's a huge discrepancy there of about 50 boxes of documents that are missing. And of course, the first question on my mind is, where are those boxes? Who has them? What have they done with them? And of all the people that the FBI tasked to look over Tesla's documents for this, they were looking for important research, anything that would be strategically or scientifically important at the time. And they chose MIT professor John G. Trump. And obviously, yes, it's President Trump's uncle. They chose President Trump's uncle to look at Tesla's documents. What do you think? Fascinating.
It's interesting when you have these sort of connections.
It's serendipitous at the very least. Yeah, I mean, very, very interesting. Many questions. I have so many questions. He also said there wasn't anything of scientific or strategic value to any of them, which in my mind, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I have so many questions.
But was he forced to say that publicly?
Exactly.
When you're controlled by these sort of people, your public announcements are generally written by them.
Right. And that could be the case. So what really happened to these 50 trunks of missing Tesla documents? What suppressed knowledge and technology did they contain? What kind of information did John G. Trump actually get to see of the infamous Tesla documents? And also, of course, I'm wondering, was President Trump made aware of these secret documents? And if so, what do you think is the possibility of President Trump possibly disclosing some kind of disclosure on the power of frequencies used for both free energy, and medical purposes?
My uncle was a great person. He was at MIT. He taught at MIT for, I think, like a record number of years. He was a great super genius, Dr. John Trump. I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it. Every one of these doctors said, how do you know so much about this? Maybe I have a natural ability. Maybe I should have done that instead of running for president.
This all depends on if he gets another term. He needs another 4 years. But once again, even if he does release all these things, they're just going to call it a conspiracy theory. So,
right. I do see evidence of him being very interested in pursuing medical innovations and deregulation, especially in the area of medicine, but also in energy as well. So he definitely seems to have that kind of mindset where he wants more competition. He wants medical and energy innovations to thrive. He's not afraid to talk about things that may be controversial or have been hidden from us, like hydroxychloroquine. So that does give me a lot of hope that he knows more than he's letting on, and that there will be a continual, probably slow drip of disclosure on some of these things.
We can only hope.
Yeah, that's my hope.
Because once you put this sort of information out into the global consciousness, and then other people can take it and work with it and try new things and try new experiments. But you kind of need a starting point where to get it from. I mean, Tesla was a genius. So anyone trying to recreate these sort of things, it's very hard. But if you have a basis to go on, such as Einstein's theory of relativity or any of those things, you have the basis to go on, so you can work around it. You can work around these theories and come up with new ones. But it's very hard to get a genius that pops out, such as Einstein or Tesla, that can come up with something new off the bat.
And oftentimes the ones that do, again, are suppressed, and if it doesn't fit within the money-making paradigm. So, there may have been some utter geniuses that have come up with some real solutions like Tesla did, but we've never saw the light of day.
Or too much money is being thrown at them.
Yeah, true. Tesla once said the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries in its existence. That's a pretty interesting statement there. So, speaker, I kind of want to go into this now, more talking about the quote unquote non-physical phenomena of frequencies, energy, vibrations that Tesla is always speaking to. And I want to just dive deeper into that, expand on that concept of this understanding of everything in the universe has energy, vibration, and frequencies. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So this is also a very esoteric study as well, and like we know Tesla and a lot of people and ancient cultures were all very fascinated with the esoteric. With frequency, so like what is frequency? So frequency is the rate of which something moves per second, and frequency creates vibration. So like you said before, 432 gigahertz is the one most aligned with the universe, but you were mentioning before that they changed that to 440 hertz.
They did. So you want me to go into that little story I told you when we were off the air?
I know you wanted to go into that, so I'll chuck that to you first.
Well, it's a theory, and it's interesting. So there's this theory out there that the Nazi Third Reich Minister of Propaganda was Joseph Goebbels, had campaigned to have the International Standards Organization change the standard music tuning from 432 hertz to 440 hertz. And that standard did actually change ultimately. That took place in the 50s, I believe, is when it ultimately changed. And the theory goes that this frequency change in the music standard tuning was done purposefully with the intention of throwing mankind into more of a state of disharmony, anxiety, aggressiveness, and sickness. And you know what? That makes sense to me. Look at the world around us.
It does make sense. But like, so now we have a lot of people kind of working at these things, mostly independent people that have come up. Now, frequencies in everything. It's in everything we do. It can help us. It can heal us. It can hurt us. So humans are frequency manifested in human form. Right, so like go play some music right now. Play some, just pick something random. Go play like a heavy metal, per se, for example, and listen to that for 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and then go play something like a beach sound or a symphony or something like that, and you'll definitely feel the difference. I mean, that's why music is so popular. There's not many people that don't love music. In fact, I've never met anyone that doesn't love some sort of music, because it makes us feel in a certain way. I mean, there's certain frequencies that trigger certain part of the body. I mean, 396 hertz is generally referred to as a frequency that transforms grief, joy. It transforms guilt into forgiveness. So a lot of these things are mapped out. So 417 hertz clears negativity, removes conscious blockages. 528 hertz simulates love, restores equilibrium, and repairs DNA. So DNA repairs, so epigenetics. 639 hertz strengthens relationships, family, and community. And you can. One thing that I'm a big fan of is binaural beats, and I know you are too, Edge. And
I do. I listen to them often, actually.
Yeah, we share that around a lot, because it is really important to find the time and to listen to these things that heal you. And I'm a firm believer that it does. It's not really pseudo science, especially when you've got people like Tesla talking about it and telling people, like in that message there was, research it, go play it. And so there's certain frequencies that you transfer through your life. So like, go outside, look at a sunshine, lie on the grass, and you will feel different.
The way I look at it is that, and from what I understand it as in my small mind,
Oh, I don't know. Don't,
is
don't.
is
We're supposed to be talking about frequency and you're talking down to yourself. No, 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 no.
okay. No, I'm just comparing myself to Tesla. So, but the entire universe is made of energy, vibration, and frequency, from the largest galaxy to, the tiniest particle, and everything, every living thing as well, including us. And also, water is a great. It greatly absorbs frequencies, and we're mostly made of water. So when you think about it on a scientific level, whatever frequency is surrounding you, you're absorbing it. And it could be a negative, as you were saying, it could be a negative one and it can be a positive one. And what I'm starting to realize now is that it's just like musical notes are transmitted as frequencies that we can hear. Thoughts, intentions, emotions, those are frequencies as well. And those things can also be absorbed and into our bodies. And so
Well, not just our bodies, but the world as a whole. I mean, the world as a whole
the
is
world.
also 80% water.
Exactly. So we need to start thinking in those terms, as everything has a frequency, a vibration, and an energy to it. And there are negative ones and there are positive ones. And I know that you had brought up Dr. Emoto before, but I just love that study that he did, because it really does give you a visualization of this concept, right?
Yeah, so this is a man that spent his whole life studying the language of water and studying the language of vibration. And he's not very well known. He should be. I mean, he should be plastered everywhere. So if you haven't heard of him, don't feel bad, because most major media outlets are not going to spend too much time or words on a person and that has discovered something that can trigger something that is welcoming to humankind, which can perpetuate a strong growth of consciousness, which is very counterproductive to the system that we're all living in now, which is a system of money, greed, power, control. But so Dr. Emoto's study, so his research demonstrates human vibrational energy throughout water. Now, what he did is he froze droplets of water, and then he took pictures of them. So he went to different water streams, and that's how we first started. So he started like clean water, pure water, just to get a visual point of view of them, and with a highly powered camera and microscope, he would take pictures of the particles and the molecules of the water. Now, in clean water, they're pristine. They're a beautiful thing to witness. But then through dirty water, they're toxic, they're disorientated, they're ugly. That's the best way to put it. Well, one looks beautiful and one looks ugly. And then he started to take it steps further. So he put two speakers together, and then he put the water in the middle, and the speakers would be playing certain sounds. So he would play like Beethoven's symphony, and then he would also do another one where he would play hard rock music. And once again, you can see the different, photogenic in a physical form, the differences between the two. Rock music was hard, distorted, ugly, and the beautiful music and the beautiful notes and the beautiful frequencies turned out real immaculate, amazing photos. And then he did another thing when he took words and he put words on bottles. He put put water in the jar, and then he would take pictures of them. So there's pictures of, so he would have love, and it looks immaculate, and it looks like a beautiful molecule. And then he would put something like, I hate you, I want to kill you, on another bottle. And that would look very much like the toxic water. So it's such a fascinating study, and this is a person that should really be well known, because if you can prove that in a physical sense, then it's not really pseudoscience, is it?
Right. It really is intriguing. And I've actually wanted to do this kind of experiment on my own. I just have to kind of figure out how to go about doing that. But it is very intriguing to think that your intentions and your thoughts and your emotions um, that you emit towards water, that it actually absorbs that as a frequency. And what is really fascinating is when you look at those water crystals, those frozen water crystals, the ones that have the positive ones, such as, love and prayer and, Beethoven and things like that, how organized they are. They're beautiful. They're also in like perfect harmony.
The symmetry is amazing. Like it's
Yeah, that's the order of it is what's really fascinating. I would love to see more studies like this because it absolutely fascinates me, but I just love it because it really is a visual representation of the concept that we're trying to present, which is everything in the universe, whether it's physical things that we can see in the universe or things that are beyond our physical sight ability to see, like thoughts, intentions, emotions, those things as well. Everything has a frequency. I really want to kind of close out this conversation, speaker, by giving our listeners some ideas. I mean, because we're in the world that we're in right now, and it's, and in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency, and the world that we're living in with all of the negativity, how do we make positive changes for ourselves, for our loved ones, for mankind?
well. I'll always go back to individualism. You really have to work on yourself first before you can even try to fix the world or even try to make any significant changes, but especially in your own life. And I'm a firm believer, and I've always said this, and I say this to you all the time, words have power. And I always call Edge out on it. Every time she's negative as shit, I will call her out on it. Right?
You do.
Don't say that to yourself, and don't talk to yourself that way.
Yeah.
And that's a big important because like we laid out for you, if you're going to keep telling yourself I hate myself, your body starts getting toxified.
It does.
Right?
It
Your
absolutely
frequency starts dropping, and once your frequency, like your organs, your liver, your heart, they all resonate on a frequency. They all resonate in different hertz. And this has been studied, and this is not, like I said, pseudoscience. This is actually something tangible. But once you start getting below the 58 hertz is when disease starts setting in. And the toxicity starts setting into your body. But words, especially to yourself and to other people, of course, and the words you put out into the words. Words have power. And I'm going to quote the Bible here, which I don't do much, but in the beginning, what was the word? Words are magic.
Yeah, words are powerful. And if you think of them in terms of vibration, it's intention. Words are intention. And you're putting energy into something and manifesting it in a way. So whatever energy you put into something negative, you're actually helping that manifest. And then the same way, positive, you're helping that manifest. And so really, if we do want to get out of this cycle of so much negativity in the world, I'm not trying to solve the world's problems all in one podcast, but just small changes that we can make, I think, on an individual level. Prayer, praise of the Creator, music, singing, meditation, these are all good things that help us kind of lift our spirits, make us feel better, make us feel healthier, make us treat others in a more positive way. And in general, it just makes the world a better place. If we can start getting back to that, and understanding that, first it's recognizing that every thought, intention, and emotion that you emit, it does have a frequency, and it does have an effect on you, on the people around you, and on the whole world. And so just using those thoughts, emotions, and intentions very purposefully to create the change that you want, it's the first step.
Think about a person that you've met that is highly infectious, and we've all met these people. right? They're either extremely happy or there's something about them and you just don't know what it is, but people want to be around them. People want to talk to them. People want to sit next to them. And when you sit next to them and when you talk to them and when you're in their frequency, it lifts your frequency.
True.
Right? So you can help people in that way as well. I mean, you can give other people your frequency, but also you can also attract frequency from others.
Right.
So if you're not strong enough, or if you're not conscious about what's going on in this process, it's very easy to fall into despair. And despair is, once again, a really low frequency. So that's why when we see these groups of people that are burning down buildings and having absolutely no care for the things that they're doing, they are perpetually in this cycle where they're all sharing this low frequency. It's this frequency of hate. It's this frequency of destruction.
Yes. Yes, I agree. It feeds on itself and it gets passed around and carried throughout that group of people. Yeah.
And love does the same.
It does.
But there's so little things like holding grudges. You know, if you hold grudges towards someone, once again, that's this eternal dialogue, which is detrimental more to you than the other person.
Yep.
Right? It's going to end up affecting you more than it affects them. Right? Living your authenticity is another big one. I mean, like doing what you believe to be put on earth to do, or working your way towards these things. Your frequency will start rising and will start becoming in harmony with the universe and with nature and with yourself.
Yes. Yeah. All good suggestions. I mean, why do you think they're shutting churches down? Why do you think in California they're trying to stop singing in churches? I mean, all of these things are raising the spirits of people. They're connecting with the Creator. And all of these things, you know, invoke positive changes, positive results on the earth. And that is not what they want right now. They want the anger, the anxiety, and the hostility, and the division, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look at the young people today, and look at not even young people, even some of the older people. I mean, they're getting fed this internal guilt. You know, like they're being told that they're racist just for being white. Let's take that for an example, right? So they're living each day sitting there, I'm a racist, I'm this, I'm that, I'm privileged, that's such a low vibration, and it really makes me sad, because when you start self-hating yourself, or you've got this internal guilt or shame, and that's really what it's meant to do. When people throw out these things to you or label these things to you, they want you to feel this guilt and shame. And you can see that it's infectious to those around them, and it catches on, and so all of a sudden you've got all these people at school saying, okay, I'm privileged, I'm ashamed for being who I am, or I'm ashamed for something that I've never done. And it's collective guilt, and it's really low.
Yeah, it's toxic.
And it's really destructive and sad.
So really what we're just trying to do is start a new trend. And that's just getting back to realizing that every intention, thought, emotion that we have is a frequency, and we have a choice to make it either positive or negative in order to invoke the change that we want in our personal lives, the people around us, and the world in general. So I hope that this was somewhat helpful and interesting to you guys. Please be sure to share, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Come back and see us next time, right here on Hive Mind.